This is a Tibet House member video and is a part of the Force for Good class series, now available at tibethouse.us.
Nothing. You can't discover nothing. No scientist has ever discovered the nothing that anybody went into after dying. It, in fact, cannot be discovered, and not only is there no evidence for it, in principle, by simple common sense, there never will be evidence for it, ever. It's, in principle, unevidenced, which means that believing in it is, in fact, blind faith, without evidence, and without any reason. So they have to at least own that up. They're supposed to be scientific, rational. And here they're holding an irrational belief, doggedly, as if it were a discovery, which is kind of psychotic, actually. It's crazy. They're hanging on to, I was talking to someone earlier today, it was more reasonable to think that God created everything, and He's in control, and He's a He, and He speaks Hebrew, and He occasionally appears on Mount Sinai as a burning bush, and He tells Moses to go mess up Pharaoh. And why is that more reasonable? Because, in fact, if there was such a being, they might reveal themselves to somebody. They might be there. They might say something. We could then question when they say, I own and control everything, because it might seem like they weren't doing a very good job about it, and they weren't really that powerful. But that you could actually see a being that we normally think doesn't exist, it's possible, because at least it's something. It's claimed to be something. Whereas the claim that there's a nothing there is an insane person's claim. It's like a paranoid, oh, there's something chasing me, oh, the FBI is like planting something in my brain. It's just nuts. There's no evidence for it whatsoever, is the point. So if you want to believe that you won't have a future life, go right ahead. If you are aware that it's a blind faith and dogmatic belief, and there's nothing to prove it to you, and there never will be. If you want to accept it like that, fine. Then you can't really feel that you're more highfalutin than those people in Texas, who mess up and put creationism in the textbooks, Because you're putting something completely irrational in your textbook with no evidence, and no ever evidence, okay? So that's a really important point. That then leads you, actually, if you're a rational person, into, at minimally, Pascal's wager in regard to former and future life. His wager was about belief in God, but you're not believing, no one's asking you to believe in an omnipotent creator being, deity. On the contrary, they say that they talked to the creator deity, who was knocked up to, who was, supposed to be the creator deity, and he said he didn't create it in the Buddhist text. He said, I didn't actually do it, and I don't know how it works. I'm just a big, powerful guy here, but I don't really know what's going on. He said, Brahma. All right? So Pascal's wager in our case is, if you're not going to exist, which you have no reason to believe is going to be the case, and it violates all that you've ever perceived in nature, which everywhere is continuity. There can be quantum leaps within continuity, but it's continuity. But nevertheless, if you do believe in that, then if you act as if you're going to have to be there in some form, your consciousness is going to continue, and you should actually make sure it continues in a good way, because it is going to. And if you're wrong, and you're just simply nothing, you're obviously not going to regret that you prepared yourself in case you're something. Whereas if you're going to be something and you act recklessly in life on the basis that whatever you do will not have a consequence after death, then you will deeply regret that you're not prepared for that continuity. That's the version of Pascal's wager, right? All right, any question about that? The brave lady who doesn't think it's going to exist? She's just putting me on, I think, really. She wouldn't even be here if she wasn't worried about it. Yes?